Good morning. It's a beautiful spring day in Utah. Today we're going to trek down to the tropical paradise of Skull Valley, Utah. Here we find the First Pacific Island Voyeur road marker. He is showing us that we are on our way. We're probably 14 miles away from our location, as the number 14 is engraved into his side right there. Welcome to Yosepa. Aloha! We have arrived in this beautiful tropical paradise, also known as Yosepa, here in Skull Valley, Utah. As you can see, there aren't too many palm trees around. There's no ocean. So why is there a palm tree? Well, stay with me and we'll find those answers out. Why is there a Hawaiian settlement in Utah? Many people have probably wondered that very question. Well, back in the 1850s, Mormon missionaries were actually sent to Hawaii, and they converted many people to the gospel of Jesus Christ, and they gathered that body of members of the church, and they eventually immigrated to the United States and to Utah. And there were initially about 75 Native Hawaiians that lived in the Salt Lake City area. And despite the faith being common with those of their neighbors, the immigrants experienced significant culture shock, as you can imagine. And unfortunately, they were also mistreated by the white majority of the Utahns. So many were barred from staying in the hotels, and they were refused services at restaurants. Just so very, very shockingly sad. And so the church leaders began searching for a new location for the Hawaiians to settle in. And they searched in different areas. There was a possibility in Logan, or in the Cache Valley, I should say, which is northern Utah. They looked in Weber County as well, and Utah County, but they settled on Skull Valley, which at the time was also known as Quincy Ranch, and it was a gathering place for the South Sea Islanders. One interesting fact that a lot of people don't know about is that there were 3 cases of leprosy. These are the graves of the people who had leprosy. They were actual lepers. People don't realize there were lepers in the United States, and of course this caused an even more isolating view of the people in Yosepa from outside communities. That's one of the graves right there. They isolated the people with the leprosy to what was called the pest house, which was built outside of town to isolate them from the others. And so, yeah, life was pretty hard here in Yosepa. So you're probably wondering what the name Yosepa means. It is actually the Hawaiian word for Joseph, and it was given that name in honor of Joseph F. Smith, who was one of the first missionaries from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints to serve the Hawaiian people. And this man, Joseph F. Smith's uncle, was Joseph Smith, the first prophet of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So, of course, the Hawaiians, they moved to Utah to be closer to the Salt Lake LDS Temple. Being near the temple was extremely important to them. However, this Skull Valley desert was very inhospitable. It's a rough environment. So the people created irrigation systems to bring fresh water down from the Stansbury Mountains. And they raised crops and pigs, and they constructed ponds. They even created a lake. And when we go on our hike, I will point out where that lake is. It's called Kanaka Lake. So they built that so that they could swim and have a place to recreate with their families and have picnics. And they even planted about 300 walnut trees, 300 fruit trees, over 100 ornamental trees. And the streets were lined with beautiful yellow roses. In 1911, the community was named as the best kept and most progressive city in the state of Utah. And so yes, the desert blossomed like a rose, which fits into Latter-day Saint prophecy. Well, in 1915, Joseph F. Smith, who had originally been a young missionary to the Hawaiian Islands, was now the prophet himself of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And he announced plans to construct a temple back in Hawaii. The La'i or La'i, I'm not sure actually how to pronounce that. I'm sorry about that for those of you who are from there or know of that temple. But it was the first temple to be built outside of the continental North American area. And so the church leaders offered to pay the passage of anyone who wished to go back to Hawaii. And so, of course, most of the Yosepa residents chose to return. And by 1917, Yosepa was a ghost town. Little remains of the town left here other than the cemetery and the fire hydrant. So there is one secret though about Yosepa, and that leads us now into our hike that we're going to take. What else did they leave behind? A hidden historic treasure, one of maybe a bit sacred value. So let's go look for it. Looking straight out over the desert here, this is that lake that they built. It doesn't look too large, but pretty amazing that they could actually build a lake, and it's still there. So who wants to go have a picnic? After a lot of turmoil, and tribulation. It was a hard, difficult hike getting to this. This is what we're looking for. This is called Story Rock, and it tells the tale of the Hawaiians. It's full of petroglyphs, just like the Native American petroglyphs you find throughout the western United States as well as the rest of America. This rock tells the tale of the Hawaiians longing for their homeland. So let's take a look at some of the cool inscriptions and etchings that we can find on this rock. Imagine yourself as one of those Hawaiians longing for home, looking out over the desert valley and the hot, dry grasses, and picturing beautiful sandy shores and beaches and hearing the roar of the ocean waves crashing upon them, and seeing all of the beautiful, unique little animals as well as the sea life. So they've etched their memories into this rock, probably never realizing they would get home again. And here it looks like, I think, a sea lion, of course a man out on his boat. I scoured every single inch of this rock looking for the petroglyphs, and I think I found most of them. I may have missed one or two, but here's a turtle, a sea turtle, and let's keep looking up here. There's a little animal, maybe a dog. Now this is interesting. I'm pretty sure this represents a turtle, maybe, but it sure looks like a dinosaur in my opinion. I'm sure it wasn't a dinosaur, but it's kind of fun to picture it. It took me months of research to figure out where this rock was located, and in honor honor and respect of the Hawaiians, I am not going to reveal the GPS locations of this rock, and it's a difficult one, so I'm just excited to be able to show it to you all so you don't have to do the hard work of hiking up to it. Well, after all of that research and being able to find this rock finally, I felt very privileged and honored to be at this location. So thank you, Story Rock, for letting me visit you. It was a great privilege and honor. What was your favorite petroglyph on this rock? I think mine is this cute whale, spouting his water, floating along in the imaginary ocean. Maybe he's chasing a sea turtle. Who's in the mood to visit Hawaii now? Let's go find that tropical paradise, because really, it's not here in Skull Valley. I dedicate this video to those Hawaiian pioneers who settled our great state of Utah and to their descendants. Thank you for allowing me the privilege of enjoying your little valley. And this little side note, this word explore actually came up on my Ghost Radar app I had turned on when I was at the Story Rock. And so I agree, let's go explore. And seek for the good things in life and they will be yours. Join me next time. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye-bye.